Doing a color correction in Photoshop is really easy. Just with a few quick steps, you can improve the quality of an old faded or an image that has lost its color or is off color. So you need to add some adjustment layers. What these do is they just kind of allow you to um, work over the picture without permanently affecting it. So you add adjustment layers of curves and threshold in order to help build this project. And you also want to make sure your color sampler tool is chosen from the toolbars menu. What we're looking for here is a good sample of shadow, midtones, and highlights, so dark, middle, light, and highlight areas to resample in order to bring back the color of our photo. So in other words, we're going to be giving a new value to all of the shadows, midtones, and highlights so that the color is brought back to how it should look. And we do that a few different ways. We have the threshold and curves adjustment layer. I currently have the threshold turned off just so I can see my picture and kind of get an idea of what it looks like. So I see some shadows here, some highlights here, maybe some midtones in this back wall. But to really determine that is with that threshold menu. And when you move this threshold menu to the left and bring it over, it starts to display for you shadows. And those are the darkest shadows on your page, the ones that show up first. So I want to look for shadows that show up in a solid state pretty quickly as I drag over. There's some good shadow here underneath the leg. So I can sample any of those areas, and that's why I use this color sampler tool. So I permanently kind of mark that spot so I can reference it later. And I'm going to do the same thing now for threshold with my highlights. So I start to the right, bring it over, and you can see some stuff starts to pop up. Whatever really shows up first in a solid state is what you want to use for your sample. So this is pretty good right here. And now I have a sample for my shadows and my highlights. The midtones we'll figure out later. So once that's done, you can really get rid of your threshold adjustments layer or just turn it off. They're just there to help you get your sample clicked. Now I go to my curves menu, and when you're on your curves menu, you double click on this icon, you can reset your black point, which is your shadows, and your highlights. You can also do midtones, which we're going to do as well. So that's what we'll do first. We'll reset our black point, and as soon as you do this, you want to find where you sampled your shadow, click, it darkens up the photo, resamples all the shadows on your picture, resets that black point, and do the same thing with your highlights, which is right here. And you now see a before and after. It looks pretty good. You may want to set your midtones as well, depending on the way that picture looks. That's a little bit more difficult. You got to find like a 50% gray area on your picture. And I'll try to just kind of find what looks to be middle of the line gray, so kind of halfway between white and black. And they can always be changed as you click here. So it looks a little bit better. That's the before, that's the after. Quick way to do color correction in Photoshop.